At the end of the section of the Torah where the Torah describes the site that tells us the dinim of the site, the pasuk says, "The woman did not become tameh, utohayre she's pure. The niksa she will be clean. The nizra zera she will bear seed." Rashi said what this means is that if up until now she was giving birth with pain, now she will have easy births. If up until now she was giving birth to dark-skinned children, she will have light-skinned children. The Rebbe asks that the source for this Rashi is in many different places, the Sifri, the Gemara, the Tosefta, the Yerushalmi, Tanchuma. In all of these places there are other brachis mentioned as well. Like if she was having girls, she'll have boys. If she was having short children, she'll have tall children. If she was giving birth to one baby at a time, she'll have two at a time. If she was giving birth every second year, she'll give birth every year. Why is Rashi choosing only these two specific things? If she was giving birth with pain, things will come easily now. And if she was giving birth to darker children, she will have lighter children. We must say somehow that al derech hapshat, that in the simple way of understanding the psukim, these are the only two things that can be clearly seen from the psukim themselves. In order to understand this, says the Rebbe, we need to look at another question. The simple meaning of the word that if she's tar, v'nizra zera, she will bear seed, seemingly means that if she is tar, she will have children. So why is it that Rashi has to look for other things to say about her giving birth in various different ways? Why can't Rashi just say simply, as some Mefarshim actually do, that if she is pure, then she'll have a child? The Rebbe goes through different things that Mefarshim suggest on this, but the Rebbe explains why it's a little bit difficult to say these ideas. And then the Rebbe moves on to another part in our Rashi, which is really the beginning of the Rashi. On the word v'niksa, that she will come clean, Rashi says, mimayim ha'ma'orim, from the waters that bring a curse. And then Rashi goes on and says, v'lo, not only that, but, as we said before, that she'll have easy births and so on and so forth. The question is, what is Rashi telling us what the word v'niksa means from the water, that from the mayim ha'ma'orim, when seemingly this said clearly earlier in the pasuk, when the kohen is giving the oath, administering the oath to this woman, he says that if you didn't do an aveira, then hinaki, then you will come clean, mimayim ha'ma'orim. So clearly later on when that happens, and it says that v'niksa, obviously it means mimayim ha'ma'orim. So why the need for Rashi to say this? Again, the Rebbe goes through some different mefarshim, and the Rebbe again asks some questions, but we're going to move on to the next part of the Sikha. And the Rebbe says the explanation is like this. What's really bothering Rashi is something very, very simple. When the Kohen administers the oath to the woman, it seems to be that the Kohen tells her everything that's going to happen. Whether she did the Aveda or didn't do the Aveda, everything that's going to happen. But it seems to be there's one thing that he doesn't say, which the Pasuk says now. V'nizra zera, that if she's innocent, she's going to bear seed. There was nothing said about this earlier. In order to answer this question, Rashi says that what does v'niksa mean? Mimayim ha'ma'orim, from these waters that bring a curse, which you just asked, why does Rashi have to say that? And then he says, v'loyer, not only that, but she'll bear seed, she'll have easy births, etc. What Rashi is trying to emphasize is that when the Torah says v'nizra zera, she'll have children, it doesn't only mean that she's going to get now a nice reward or payment for the fact that she was embarrassed, so she's getting a certain compensation or something like that. Rashi is saying is that the fact that she's going to have easy children, etc., bear seed in an easy way, etc., is a result of the water itself. That means what the Torah is saying is that v'niksa v'nizra zera, not only will she be cleansed from these water, but from the water itself, v'nizra zera, that's going to cause her to have children in an easy way, etc. So in other words, it's not saying two separate things. The niksa, she will come clean, and then, by the way, another a reward is v'nizra zera. But rather, it's coming from the v'niksa itself, from the fact that she's being cleansed from the water is bringing these brachas. If that's the case, we don't have a question anymore why it wasn't mentioned in what the Kohen said to her, because the Kohen did say, Hinaki mimei amorim, you will come clean from this water. And we're saying that what that Hinaki now means was in a general way, both that she won't be harmed by it, but not only she won't be harmed, but in fact, it's going to bring her major brachas. Says the Rebbe, now we can understand why Rashi chose in V'nizra zera these particular brachas that he said. That if she had till now with pain, it's going to go easy. If she had darker children, she'll have lighter children. Because if, according to Rashi, the V'nizra zera is coming directly, it's an effect from the water itself, so then it makes sense to say that the water is acting and doing a similar thing to what it would have done in the negative, it's now doing in the positive. So just like in the negative, the water would have caused not only that it would kill her, but it actually came in a painful way. She suffered. Her stomach swells and her thigh falls, etc. In a similar way, when it's turning now, the same water is turning now to bracha, so it's going to cause that instead of she should have pain when she gives birth, the nizra zera, so not only she shouldn't be in a painful way, it'll be in an easy way. Chazal tell us that her face would go all green and dark when this all happened. So Rashi says instead of the water causing this darkening of the face and by herself, instead it's actually going to bring that her children should now be light-skinned children. So in other words, each thing of the water that Rashi is bringing is exactly on the opposite side of what it would have caused in the negative. And that's why Rashi can't say all these other things, that if she was having girls, she'll have boys, and all these other things, because none of those would be really within the characteristic of the water. We wouldn't see that the water was doing anything opposite in the negative side to be able to derive that in the positive it's bringing these brachas. The Rebbe now connects this idea of a nizra zera, that the seed that she bears is not only just a nice payment or a compensation, but it's as a result of the water itself, it's the effect of the water itself. The Rebbe says this fits very much with how Chassidus understands the whole idea of what the Soita is all about. All the way in the beginning of the section of Soita, the pasuk says, "Ishki sister ishte," if a person's wife goes astray. Chazal tell us on the word sister that it's also from the word shtus, of foolishness. A person only does an aveira if a spirit of foolishness comes over him. In other words, the whole idea of a Soita represents the foolishness of a person doing an aveira. What is the idea of a Soita in Avodas Hashem? Hashem is the husband, the Yidden are the wife. Hashem warns the Yidden not to go out and do Averis and get involved with the Yetzer Hara, and the Yid is, so to speak, hiding, trying to get away from Hashem. And that's what the idea of a Soita is all about. So now, when the Nix of a Nizra Zera, what does that mean? This represents the idea of tshuva, that a Yid goes ahead and does tshuva. But what happens when the person comes clean and comes out after the tshuva? When the person comes out clean, we say v'nizra zara. Now he's going to have something greater than he had before, but not only as a side benefit. It's coming from what he has done itself. In other words, that the idea when we say that Baal Tshuva is going to be greater than a tzaddik, that's the aliyah. But Rashi is telling us that the aliyah, this benefit that's coming out of tshuva, is coming from the mayim hamarim itself, from the negativity itself. This is being transformed into good now. As Chazal says, doinois Naso lekazachis. That which the person did averas before are now going to be transformed and counted as merits. It says the Rebbe, this is the reason why the Nizra Zera says only all the way at the end. It wasn't mentioned before when the Kohen told her all about it. He just said in a general way, Hinaki, you'll be innocent, you'll come out clean. But we didn't promise that the Nizra Zera, they'll be even better than before. Because this idea that a person comes out even greater after the Avera through tshuva is not something that we can tell the person before he did tshuva. Before the Yid did tshuva, you can't come with these calculations and say, I'll do the Avera, I'll do tshuva, I'll come out even greater. It's only once the idea of tshuva is there practically, it was done already, then it's revealed that the whole point originally was that the person should be in a much better state, in a greater state than ever before. And as the Rambam paskins, Yisrael oisen tshuva miyad heini golin, the Yidden do tshuva and immediately they're redeemed. Then instead of all the pain, like the Soita has, instead of all the pain that the Yidden have in Golus, so instead of that we have the ease and the comfort of the time of the Geula, we have the light of the Geula, and even in the very last moments of Golus says that, just like in Mitzrayim, so through doing tshuva right now, we have the Geula, and even before the Geula comes, we have all this comfort already, and we go to the Geula Mitzvah Shleima b'meher v'yameinu mamash.